I recently had a few philosophical conversations where I suggested that one could argue that deductive reasoning is in a sense circular or even question begging. The people I said this to were genuinely taken aback, reacting as if I committed a kind of philosophical blasphemy. Since I don't mind being a bit intellectually provocative, I've decided to make a short video not to be contrarian for its own sake, but to spark curiosity and invite further philosophical inquiry. So let's dive in. To start with, I want to be clear about what I'm not saying. I'm not claiming that deductive arguments are invalid or useless because they're question begging. There are different kinds of circularity. So we have logical or implicit circularity, we have explicative or clarifying circularity, and intertheory or axiomatic deductions that are often taken to be perfectly acceptable. By contrast, foundationally epistemic circularity, in which an argument is supposed to clarify a starting point by presupposing it, would typically be a rejected type of circularity. So why am I saying that even valid deductive arguments can be question begging? Let's first start by defining what question begging is. Begging the question is when the premises assume the truth of the conclusion either explicitly or in disguised form. And because in a deductive argument the conclusion says nothing more than what's already contained in the premises, one might argue that the conclusion is in fact being assumed within the premises, and that this is why deduction can look question begging. To illustrate this point, let's use the classical case concluding that Socrates is mortal. In syllogistic logic, we would formulate it as all humans are mortal, Socrates is a human, therefore Socrates is mortal. And to put it in propositional form, the modus ponens version would be if Socrates is a human, then Socrates is mortal. Socrates is a human, therefore Socrates is mortal. And in predicate logic, we would say for all x, if x is a human, then x is mortal. And if we let S be a constant standing for Socrates, then we have Socrates is a human, therefore Socrates is mortal. But however we formulate it, the thought is the same. The conclusion is not adding information beyond what's already contained in the premises. The claim that Socrates is mortal doesn't introduce anything that wasn't already there once we granted A, that all humans are mortal, and B, that Socrates is a human. The best objection I've been given is that this is just what entailment is, and so it's not very interesting. My response is that the premises entail the conclusion precisely because the conclusion is already implicitly contained within them. If that wasn't the case, we wouldn't have entailment. These ideas I'm presenting isn't new in the history of philosophy. Formalists often describe deduction as non-ampliative, meaning that the conclusion is already contained implicitly in the premises. So in that spirit, one might point to thinkers like John Stuart Mill and Charles S. Peirce, who in different ways emphasize that deduction doesn't extend our knowledge in the way other forms of inference like induction and abduction do. And again, I'm not saying deduction is invalid. It is an excellent way to formalize reasoning, and it's a powerful pedagogical tool insofar as it shows that if someone accepts certain premises, they are logically committed to the conclusion. To wrap up, the point is that deductive arguments by themselves don't give us new knowledge or insight in the way inductive and abductive inferences can. Deductive arguments preserve what's already there. They don't expand it. And that's the problem with deduction.